Citizen Manchester. Updating Manchester's Jewish community.
Well, speaking of looking like a god, you're listening to Jewish Hour with Ed Horwich and me, Jeff Lewis, on BBC Radio Manchester. Earlier in the year, Manchester University saw some agitated exchanges between Jewish and Palestinian supporters. Now, a group of students are attempting to encourage a more open dialogue between the two sides on campus by creating the Manchester Israel-Palestine Forum. Its first conference was held recently at the university and attracted a distinguished international panel to debate the future of a two-state solution. The panel featured a Palestinian from the Gaza Strip, a Jewish lawyer specialising in international affairs, a group promoting links between the two sides in the Middle East, and a Jewish pro-Palestinian supporter. Ed spoke with the organiser and panellists, and with some of the audience as well.
Hello, I'm Marco Schneeberg. I'm 19 years old, and I'm from Brussels. I'm studying the politics, philosophy, and economics at the University of Manchester. Yeah, I've set up with some other people this Manchester Israel-Palestine Forum recently, and this is our first conference. The idea comes from an original project that was initiated in Warwick University, where they have this Israel-Palestine Forum. And after 1 month ago, there was quite a big event in the university as the deputy ambassador to Israel had to come to speak here. And this followed demonstrations from Action Palestine Group and the Jewish Society, and quite big clashes that were at the center of the university's news for a couple of weeks. And seeing that, we realized that actually people were just shouting and there was no real debate. And most activities in the university were organized by one group or by the other one and promoting only one idea, and there was no real platform for a debate with ideas, sharing ideas, and like trying to get to something where people could hear most views and not just one view. We have people from the Jewish Society, we have people from Action Palestine, and we have just people that are interested in the conflict and don't really take a stand.
Okay, my name is Jayab Abu Safiya. I come from Jabalia refugee camp in the Gaza Strip. I left Gaza 4 years ago, and I joined in the Olive Tree program in London at City University, which is bringing Israelis and Palestinians together to live and study for a degree, undergraduate degree, and to have every week session for the two groups to meet and exchange ideas and discussion.
What effect has that had on your views about Israel and Palestine?
You know, living in a place like Gaza, in a refugee camp, it's tough situation, it's tough life, and the anger always grows with you, with the person who lived this life, been through lots of horrible experience with the conflict.
Yeah.
And it was the first time, I think, for me to just realize there are people from the other side we can talk to and can understand us and can understand our lives. And I do believe in their right to exist. And I think we can even live in one state. We have to live together. We have to be nice to each other. And think with the programs such as the Olive Tree could bring two people together and just give hope for the future, for a better future, I think.
Both you and your family have suffered during the conflicts. You've been shot, your family's been imprisoned. Do you think it's possible for people to leave those, what must be very harsh feelings and feelings of anger behind, to pursue peace?
I did myself, and I think lots of people are ready to do that because what happened in the past is in the past. Let's look for a very good future. I don't want my son in the future to grow to have the same experience as I did. I don't think my father wanted me to grow in it, but there was no choice. He suffered, I suffered, and I don't want my son to suffer. So I'm coming maybe to London. I'll start a new life. I started a new life already, but I will go back one day when it's peaceful. And for me to be here, I think with any way, I hope I can help my people or just the peace process. I want peace, and I want to go back in a peaceful country.
And I'll tell you now, I spend too much time in Israel and Palestine. And I speak to moderate Israelis, the people you need to convince to change the reality that you're speaking about. If you use words like racism, like genocide, words like that, straight away the blinkers come down. And you automatically, the power of what you want to say and the agenda that you have, which is coming from the right place, is ruined, it's destroyed. And all you're going to end up with is ever diminishing circles of people who listen to you. And I'm being honest about this. What you need to, and Palestinians say this to me all the time, we want to be as clever as the Israelis have been. And to be smart and to be able to present your arguments in such a way that maximizes the audience. And I find that language such as that, it's got a very limited shelf life, it's got a very limited audience. And you talk about racism, I find those remarks racist.
John Rose, you describe yourself as a Jewish socialist?
Yes, I do, yes. I'm for a one-state solution, where obviously now there are many, many European Jewish settlers.
Let me tell Andrew something you may not know, that the Iraqi Jewish community is really old. It actually goes back to ancient Babylon. In fact, Iraqi Jews regard themselves as Babylonian Jews. In the first part of the 20th century, Iraqi Jews were well integrated into the emerging Arab, indeed Islamic society, to such an extent 1/3 of all modern Iraqi musicians were Jewish, and they were accepted. 1/3 of Baghdad was Jewish. It's absolutely appalling what happened. I'm sorry.
I've read your articles
what happened
on this.
was that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict was imported into Iraq, and it blew the society apart.
I've read your articles on this, John, and you don't know your history because in your articles you forget to mention the Farhud of 1941. Of 1941. I'm not talking about the book, I'm talking about the articles. You forget the Farhud when pogroms were launched against the Jews of Baghdad with no connection to Israel or Zionism at all.
Where are you from? I'm from Gaza. I study in Manchester. I'm doing a PhD at the University of Manchester. I'm part of the student society that set this up. So I thought the debate was quite positive. As in any debate, I disagreed with some of what was put on the table, but I thought it was a very positive event. Although at the same time, I don't think it should in any way detract from other movements on campus that kind of call for more practical action in support of, say, I mean, I come from a very pro-Palestinian perspective, and I've worked within Action Palestine, a student society that actually, quite supports Palestinian self-determination, and there are fears that events like this are going to detract from the message, the pro-Palestinian message, whereas I think it's quite positive, but it shouldn't be seen as the be-all and end-all of the Palestinian cause on campus.
What was your reaction to what you heard tonight?
Well, I'm from the Jewish Society actually, so I feel quite passionately about Israel, but also about that there can be a two-state solution with the self-determination of both the Jews and the Palestinians. And I felt that tonight was very refreshing. There's so much aggressive Israel politics on campus, and tonight for the first time there was a panel with pro-Israel speakers and pro-Palestinian speakers expressing their views to a mixed audience, and I thought that was very beneficial for everyone in the audience, that they could hear a balanced debate for once and hear views from both sides. So I think tonight was very positive and very refreshing after a lot of aggressive politics on campus.
Do you think it's going to have an effect on campus?
I'd like to think it does. There were probably people here in the audience who didn't know so much about the situation, and tonight they would have had a clearer view than what they might otherwise see, which is, pro-Israel protests, very anti-Israel protests.